I'm hearing from a friend that who's with a large gold dealer here in Switzerland that they have far more buys than ever before, despite the fact that the gold price is 10% below the peak. So you wouldn't have thought people would be queuing up to buy gold, but apparently they are.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with gold. People don't understand. It doesn't matter if the price goes higher. People won't stop buying if they're fearful. And I think like that happened during the Great Depression. People wanted more and more gold because they were scared of leaving their money in the bank or leaving their money in the stock market.
In a moment where confidence is fragile and market signals are increasingly confusing, Mario Inaco and Clive Thompson cut through the uncertainty with insights that reveal the deeper forces shaping today's financial landscape. Their discussion begins with Thompson's observation that a friend connected to a major gold dealer in Switzerland has reported an unusually strong surge in buying activity. Even though gold is trading nearly 10% below its peak, demand has climbed far beyond normal levels, an outcome that challenges typical expectations. Thompson notes that under ordinary conditions, lower prices alone would not attract such overwhelming interest, making the current wave of buying especially striking. Innecco builds on the discussion by explaining that the surge in gold buying reflects a broader misunderstanding of its role. According to him, once fear becomes the dominant force, price stops being the main driver. People buy gold not because it is cheap, but because they no longer trust the stability of the financial system. To illustrate this, Innecco draws a parallel to the Great Depression, referencing Benjamin Roth's diary. Roth, a U.S. lawyer who documented the crisis firsthand, described how people sought gold aggressively across Western countries, even after gold ownership became illegal in the United States in 1933. The motivation was simple: fear of keeping money in banks or exposing it to the stock market. As Innecco emphasizes, people sought more gold precisely because they were afraid to leave their savings vulnerable to financial institutions or market fluctuations. He suggests that a similar sentiment is re-emerging today as uncertainty continues to rise. Historical example highlights how gold often serves as a refuge during times of fear, and that current market behavior may be less about price and more about preserving trust and security. If you found value in this breakdown, please hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with other investors. Don't forget to tap the bell icon for more daily insights into the financial system. Thanks for watching.
I'm hearing from a friend that who's with a large gold dealer here in Switzerland that they have far more buys than ever before, despite the fact that the gold price is 10% below the peak. So you wouldn't have thought people would be queuing up to buy gold, but apparently they are.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with gold. People don't understand. It doesn't matter if the price goes higher. People won't stop buying if they're fearful. And I think like that happened during the Great Depression. I was reading Benjamin Roth's diary. I don't know if you heard of that.
No.
And he was a lawyer in the US. And he wasn't an economist or anything, but his sons found years later that he kept a diary. And he was, even though in the US after 33 it was illegal to buy gold, he wrote about how gold was in demand, massive demand in other countries in the West, and that people wanted more and more gold because they were scared of leaving their money in the bank or leaving their money in the stock market. Budget into primary budget, and they say, oh, we'll have a primary surplus and all that rubbish. But one thing to me, Clive, is that if you look at the '08 crisis, of course, the Keynesians always increase spending when there's a crisis. So we saw that here. But then after that, yeah, government was reined in. We got to like 2% of GDP deficit, which isn't great, but it's better than the 5 or 6 that we have now. And then what really broke the camel's back, I think, is COVID and this 15% of GDP deficit. And we've never been able to recover from it. And it's one of the reasons why I started that playlist in 2021 saying economic collapse from 2021 and beyond. I don't think there's any way out, unfortunately, unless Martians come from outer space with 10,000 tons of gold for us. And that might not even help.
Yeah, obviously that gold would have to specifically land in the UK.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. They would land near Threadneedle Street and give, and you'd see Martians meeting with Andrew Bailey.
Yeah, and just look at the chart of the British pound. It's been falling since the middle of the year, since July. So middle of the year it was about 138. Now it's 131. And I think that if we have a budget which shows anything more than 3% of GDP as the projected deficit, I think the pound will carry on down.
Mario Inaco begins by discussing the price of gold in pounds, explaining that he calculated it by taking the price in pounds and then using 1 divided by that price, covering the period since 1971. He reflects on how much he has paid for gold over the years, noting that the first sovereign he bought for himself and his wife cost £52, while more recently he paid nearly £800 for one. This highlights not only the long-term value of gold but also its role as a store of wealth across decades. Clive Thompson agrees, emphasizing that gold has always been money. He recalls seeing a sovereign for the first time around 1962 when it was worth about £3 and points out that its value has now risen to approximately £800, demonstrating the enduring significance of gold. Thompson also notes that this trend is not limited to the pound. Similar patterns are observed with the dollar, underscoring gold's global and timeless monetary role. Thompson further explains the historical framework, noting that many countries were technically entitled to redeem their dollar reserves for gold at the agreed rate under the Bretton Woods system. Adopted in 1944 to 1945, the system established the dollar as the world's reserve currency, with the understanding that it would always be exchangeable for gold at $35 per ounce. Mario Inaco then elaborates on the challenges this system faced, particularly during Nixon's presidency. He explains that countries around the world, including France, the UK, and Switzerland, began sending their dollars back to America, demanding redemption in gold at the official rate. Let's get back to the video.
This is the price of gold reversed in pounds.
So what
So
we're looking at is the
I took the price of gold in pounds and I took 1 divided by the price of gold in pounds. So, and this is since 1971. So you can see that it's going, well, it says here is at 0. And the reason I brought this is because I wanted to talk about how much I paid for this. I paid almost £800 for it. And I remember the first sovereign I bought for for me and my wife. I think it was £52. And some people might say you're crazy buying it at 800 if you don't you think it's overvalued. But the way I look at it is that I don't see the pound recovering, nor the dollar, nor the euro. So, and that's why, Clive, I think when that's why there's still demand for it, even though the price is higher, because gold is a different kind of commodity. It's money. Is that how you look at it?
Yeah, Marriott's money. The first time I ever saw a sovereign physically with my eyes was 1962 or thereabouts, and I checked the price some years back. It would have been about £3 for a sovereign. So £1 sovereign would have been worth £3 in 1962,
Yeah.
and now it's worth what, 800? I don't know.
Yeah, this is the well, I've done one here for the dollar. So it's going the same. It's not just the pound. So here we are. Before Nixon, yeah, money was a fixed weight of gold. Sometimes they adjusted it, like they did here in 33. And but then Nixon just some people say it was not just Nixon was just the front man, right? But they wrecked the system, and I don't see this chart going back up, Clive.
The problem that Nixon faced was countries from all around the world, including France, UK, and Switzerland, for example, were sending their dollars back to America and asking for it to be redeemed in gold, as they were entitled to do, at the official price of $35 an ounce. And America basically saw that if they met all the demands which were coming from everywhere, they wouldn't have enough gold in the vaults to give everybody what they owed them. So what really triggered it at the end was France had sent a battleship into, I guess, New York to pick up their gold. And unfortunately for France, their battleship had to leave empty-handed because Nixon then closed the gold window and said, sorry, you can't have it because if I give it to you, I've got to be fair to everybody else and give it to everybody else. But no, you can't all have it. It's not there.
Technically, well, a lot of countries at the time had dollar reserves. And technically, I would say they are entitled to have the gold at that price of $35.
Well,
I mean,
that was what was agreed in
yeah,
Bretton Woods. The whole
yeah,
world
they could
went onto the dollar standard in
44.
1945, 44 was it? They went on the dollar standard on the premise
Yeah.
that the dollar was going to be always exchangeable into gold at the official price of the US Treasury at $35. Had the world been told, well, you're on a dollar standard, but you can't ever change it to gold, nobody would have agreed.
Yeah, talking about China, I heard from a friend of mine because a couple of weeks ago, I think there's a rumor that or a story that Chinese Bitcoin were stolen or hacked by, and they blamed the Americans. But a friend of mine actually said that that was just like a kind of a head fake, and that apparently the Chinese, with the help of the North Koreans, have been able to basically find break the Bitcoin code with quantum computing, and that's why Bitcoin this morning, I don't know if you've seen it, got down to 82,000, which is like a 35% correction from the all-time high. But that's only speculation, of course. But if that were true, what do you think would happen to the Bitcoin price if the Chinese had been able to crack the Bitcoin code? That would be quite serious, wouldn't it?
It would be, but I think it's extremely. It's just not plausible at all, Mario. I mean, there's an article from Coin Analysis. It came out 2 days ago, and Analysis or Coin Analysis. They're the real experts when it comes to everything to do with blockchain. And basically, they said quantum computing's ability to crack crypto codes is 5 to 15 years away. And the crypto community is working on solutions. And as of today, they say it's absolutely impossible. So what we know is that the quantum computing to crack a Bitcoin code, and that would still take 8 hours if they did it, would require millions of qubits. We're currently at only a few dozen qubits, and it need millions of qubits which are error-free. And I think we're at 100 qubits at the moment, and only a very, very small percentage of those are currently error-free. So they say basically we're many, many years away from it. So I don't believe it's anything to do with the ability. I don't think it's possible to crack a Bitcoin code as of today.
Gold's enduring appeal lies not in short-term price movements, but in its role as a stable store of value and a hedge against fear and uncertainty. Historical patterns, from the Great Depression to the collapse of the Bretton Woods system, demonstrate that when confidence in banks, currencies, or markets wanes, demand for gold rises, often regardless of its current price. Today, this behavior continues as investors seek security in a financial landscape marked by volatility and systemic risk. Have you ever wondered why gold continues to hold value even in turbulent markets? So stay tuned. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more daily insights. Thank you for your support, and I hope you enjoy the video.